Princeton, Mercer Radio.
Start with the song.
Did you not turn on?
No.
I told you time and time again that we won't stop.
Yes, sir.
Back and show by show, I'm trying to triple and double the pie. Hoop at least 6 feet or show or more for him on now. Hoop that 25 rolls out great interior when I was caught. Count that bit of my growth, I'm chasing help and with not clout. Baddies under my belt, I cook like a chef, I'm Mr. Child. Haven't gone no street, but I spend G's whenever I bounce. Pink on all of my clothes,
Mike's hot.
that house up.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Mustang 89 Radio. Today we have a special guest. We have author Wayne Morris in honor of National Authors Day. And just so you know, I asked Wayne to pick a favorite song of his, and he picked "Won't Stop" by Gunna. Hey Wayne, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I am so happy you're here. I read your book despite of, and I have to say I got like a little teary-eyed at the end. It was really powerful, and it was just very empowering. I mean, just like everything that you had like to overcome. So if you want to like describe what the book was about, and then we can get into some questions and stuff.
All right, first of all, I want to say thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate this. Yeah, the book, man, you know, it just basically just starts from me being a young child, and this the book is just about what I was thinking and how I felt at that time. You know, as I wrote it now, but it just went back to as that child and what I was going through. You know, it just was I had a basic life like any other kid. You know, grew up in the housing development projects in Philadelphia. Grew up with my grandma, my mother, you know, my mom, you know, RP, shout out to my grandma, love you, baby. Shout out to my mom, love you, mom. You know, had a great life. You know, my father, he was like kind of in and out, you know, good dude, you know, but kind of like a Rolling Stone, you know. And I kind of, he moved in with us at about 11 years old, and I was about 11, you know, and I was ecstatic, I was excited, you know, and it was a good time, you know, but then some things started happening, you know, and that's where the book kicks in at, you know. We found out, you know, that my pop was on heroin, you know, and we just went on a roller coaster ride, you know, from like 11 to about, till I kind of graduated high school, to about maybe like, yeah, about 18, yeah, so that's what the book is about. It's about all the trials and tribulations of dealing with, you know, someone that's on hard drugs, you know, and just how it kind of maneuvered and kept a strong mental through the whole situation, even though it was a lot of tough, hard nights, you know.
That's like so difficult because I'm sure like when you have to live in that type of environment, it's like you're walking on eggshells.
Oh,
You don't know who you're gonna get that day when your parent comes home. Is it gonna be like the supportive person
Yes.
that like, you know, is raising you up, or is it gonna be somebody that like, oh my gosh, I can't get dad mad today because he's gonna like take it out on me or mom or, you know, whoever.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it kind of puts you in like a fight or flight
Yes.
situation, like every day of your life where you're like on edge.
Tell me about it. You just hit it around the nose, you know, and that's what it was. It was like every day, really didn't know how he was going to be, you know. It was like we'll be home watching TV and stuff like that, and soon we hear that car pull up, heart starts beating fast, you know. I go up in the room close, I just don't know how you're going to come in. You might come in, you know, laughing, jokey, you know, because he told a lot of stories, you know. He was a good guy, you know, but just the drugs had him, you know, so. And then with other days he'd come in, I guess if he couldn't get his fix or something like that, he would come in, you know, cursing, and I was called every name in the book, you know. I know we can't curse on it, but I was called every name in the book, all types of stuff, you know, and it just what it was. It was just my life, you know. But I can tell you that basketball, money, and females kept me on a, you know, it kind of kept me straight. If I didn't have that, I don't know, especially basketball, I don't know where I would have been at, you know. But that really kept me going.
I noticed that like in the book, you said you were like a ladies' man.
Yeah.
But I can
yeah.
see that even like knowing you now,
Right.
because it's like you're always smiling, you're so charismatic, and it's just like you're just like fun to be around.
Right, that's me. It's like that's always me. Every time, you know, I come to work, you know, no matter what I got going on outside of, it's just me when I wake up in the morning. First of all, I'm blessed to wake up, you know, and it's like that's just me, who I am, you know. No matter what's going on, I just still had that, you know. I don't bring it with me.
See, that's amazing because it's like you were able to rise above like the emotional abuse and look about like, and even like physical
Right.
sometimes, you know, and then you can look at your situation objectively now.
Right.
And I feel not a lot of people are able to do that.
And that's what I was saying, you know, because like I tell some people now, I know it's a lot of people, you know, a lot of youth and even, you know, adults, you know, that still, I went through it, and like I still say to this day, I don't know how I kind of went through it in live time, but still was able to, you know, excel in sports and excel, you know. I was always great at getting money. I was 10 years old, my first time working. I had a paper delivery job. I was delivering daily news in Philadelphia. At 10 years old, 11 years old, I even hired one of my friends at 11. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I said, you know what? I got to deliver these papers. I don't want to do it by myself. You know, I still want to be a kid in place. I need some help. So I'm going to hire one of my friends. You know, we once I learned the route, we went ahead and, like Paperboy, we took book bags and put some rubber bands on the newspapers. And we just was riding around on our bikes. You know, and the way I paid them was, it was 1, 2, 3 for me. 1, 2. I didn't know it. I was 10 years old, you know.
But that's so cool.
And my mom was like, "What are you doing? You know, you're the boss. You don't give him that much money." I said, "Mom, you know, I don't know. I mean, I had more, but, you know, but yeah, at 10, 11 years old." So I think that's when I first realized my entrepreneurial spirit, you know. And I'm like, what 10, 11-year-old is working and hiring his friend, and, you know, and just.
Nobody I know.
Yeah, and I did it for a while, you know. And then one day I just got tired of it. I was out there playing baseball with my friends, and I guess I had to work that day. And the guy came and was like, I was like, oh, I quit. I don't want to work no more, you know. But it just, you know, I'm a kid, you know. And my next job was just at 14. I was working at my mom and I worked at a spot called Pagano's in Philadelphia. It's like a holy spot. And they had me working there on Saturdays, coming in, you know, cutting the cheese, cutting the meat, the onions, cleaning up, and all that. So that was my money for the whole week, you know. I went and got me a haircut, you know, and that last me. So that's how I kind of learned, you know. And then my mom, you know, with the struggle and everything, my mom was me, my sister, my little brother. You know, I told my mom at a young age, I said, "Mom, don't worry about me. You know, I got me. Don't worry about me. Just worry about them." And I've been taking care of myself and doing my own thing since I was young, you know, real young. So,
And that's like a blessing for your mom.
Right.
Because I'm sure like the stress that she was under, and
Right.
she's got like 3 kids, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to work all the time, and then I have to worry about like, you know, my husband or, you know, coming in and like, how is he gonna be? How am I going to like protect everybody? But like with your spirit,
Right.
you know, you gave her like a reprieve, like, you know, hey, I got myself, I'm, you know, self-sufficient,
Right.
and that's amazing.
And
I
it is.
mean, that's like huge. How
Right.
many people would do that? Because it's so, you had a choice,
Right.
right? You could either choose to like model your father's behavior
Absolutely.
or do something totally different, like, and that's what you did. You're like, I don't like this.
Right.
And you created something totally different for yourself. I mean, you got to pat yourself on the back like every day for that. But I think that you do, because you say like you wake up and you're thankful. It's like,
Right.
hey, you know, thanks for letting me wake up today. And
Right.
it's like you're grateful for the stuff that you learned from it, because you learn just as much stuff like from what you don't want to do
Right.
as what you do want to do.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the thing. It's like I kind of really I don't know, I just kind of really just. I had, you know, I'm the oldest. Is my mom had 3 kids. I'm the oldest. Is me, then my sister and my little brother. You know, so I was like brother, but like, you know, father figure too. You know, to my sister and my brother. You know, so my little brother, you know, I made sure he was good. You know, and like I said, my mom worked a lot too. You know, so and as I was young, it's crazy because we gotta talk about it too. My mom was young when she had me. My mom was like, you know, being back, like if we take it back then when I was going through it, I wasn't really worrying about or even thinking about what my mom was really going through, because I'm just worrying about myself and, you know, what I'm going through, and knowing I'm getting abused, and I'm getting mentally abused and physically abused, and I'm like, it's supposed to be my dad, like, you know, what's going on? I'm thinking, you know, and it's like everything I had and all the visions I had of a father, you know, watching the Cosbys and all that, I'm like, this is not, you know, how it's supposed to be, you know, and it's like, but my mom was 16 when she got pregnant with me. You know, my mom was 16, she had me at 17. I was at her actual graduation at like 1 year old. You know, so she was young. So when she was going through this, you know, my father, he's like, I think he's about maybe 8 years older than her, maybe 8 years older than her. But he was about, my mom was 16. I think my dad might have been like 20 something, you know, and he was like married like at 21 years old. Once he had his, I think, second child, he said he got married. I asked him that too before he passed away. I asked him, I said, why you get married so young? He was like, I didn't know nothing about marriage. Only got married because I had a baby, you know, and I thought that's what I had to do. I was young, 21 years old, you know, and he just was, you know, always a ladies' man, you know, and always he had 8 kids, 6 different women, you know. He just he didn't really take care of his kids, you know, being honest, you know, and I'm like really the only one he lived with, me, and then he lived with my other brother and sister, you know, before he came to live with us. But all the rest of the kids, they don't even really know him like that. They would just see him, you know, here and there, passing, you know. So it's like I got a chance to be around him, and he told me I got 1,000,001 stories, and told me, you know, like I said, it wasn't like when I look at it now and look back on it, I know he was on drugs, I know, you know, but he wasn't like a bad father. He just was. And he was in street gangs when he was young, and he said that he thought that he had to make me tough because I would have to go through what he had, like a lot of fighting and all that. And the way he did it was crazy, you know, but I'm glad he did because it helped mold me into the man I am today. You know, we used to we had like one of the biggest houses in the projects, and we would be in the living room, and he would take his jail mentality and he would wrap our hands in dish towels. And we would take a bunch of paper towel and stuff it in our mouth as the mouthpiece, and he would just make me fight him in the middle of the living room.
Wow.
And he would just punish me. You know, I would have bruises and purple bruises on me and all that. And he was like, "Yo, you gotta learn, man. You got, you know." And we did that. That was just all the time. And so he was like, "If you could take my punches, if you could take this, you could deal with anything outside." And I hated it, you know. And like I said, now as I'm older, you know, I'm glad. I'm not glad, but if I had to change anything, I probably wouldn't change it, you know, because it helped mold me into who I am today. So it's like I still go through that now. Like, damn, like I know what I went through was kind of crazy, real crazy. But if I change it, would I still be who I am today? So that's kind of what I deal with.
Now you have a son and a daughter as well.
Yeah. My daughter Kayla, she's 29. She'll be 30. And I have a son named Lil Wayne. You know, Lil Wayne, he's 25. Yep.
Now, is it safe to say, like, you didn't wrap their hands or anything?
Oh no!
Yeah, right.
I basically, and there's one thing that my mother and grandma, they were kind of nervous when I had kids because they thought that I would maybe do the same thing that my father did to me. And I always said that I would never do that to my kids. You know, I was more of a parent that really talked to them. I talk, and once I talk, then you get a beat or something like that. But it was more just talking, you know, because I really didn't want to do or put them through what I went through, you know. So they know, you know, I talked to them, they, you know, read the book and stuff like that, but I would never do that to them, you know, because it was like, man, I'm their father, I'm their protector, you know. Like I said, I can deal with it more by talking to them, and, you know, and stuff like that than, you know, abusing them and putting my hands on them.
But the funny thing is, I'm sure your dad didn't look at it like that was abuse. Like
No.
Yeah, he was coming from a place of love. Like, I know how tough it is out there. I'm going to make sure that you know how to protect yourself. Yeah. So it's really just like point of view, right?
Yeah. And as I got older, and we kind of, because we lost contact for a while. Like once him and my mom kind of split up. I talk about in the book, they split up. He was there from like 11 years old. I would see him here and there when I was younger. My mom was like, "You think with your dad right there?" I'm like, "That's my dad." Like the way I met him was like weird. Like, you know, you wouldn't think. He didn't even come to see me in the hospital for like 2 weeks after I was born. You know, so I mean, once I was born, it wasn't like the typical. You know, because like I said, he was married, you know, and he was 21. This was like, people understand, like these were young kids. Like, you know, I mean, I'm looking at it as my parents, but my mom was 16, 17. My dad was like 20 something, you know. But it was just, like I said, he said it himself. He was like, man, I was just running around, man, just running around, just gang worn. And my dad played sports. He played baseball. He was real good in baseball. I played all the sports, but I was the best in basketball, but he was real good in baseball. But that was him, man. Like I said, he was a good dude, man, you know, but and he told me how he actually got on drugs too. He said that he was always scared to like shoot up the heroin. So he said once he realized from one of his friends that you can snort it, you know, he said he kept begging his friend every day, let me try. And his friend was like, no, you don't want this, no. And then one day his friend just said, all right, and that was it. And it kind of messed him up. And it's like when he asked for it, he really didn't want that. Right. He told me that story because me and my dad talked a lot, man. Like I said, once him and my mom split up and they got divorced, maybe around like the time I graduated, like 1995, we kind of lost contact for a while. You know, even when me and my wife got married, like in 09, you know, he wasn't even in the wedding. I didn't know he was dead. I thought he was dead. I didn't know what, and I wound up linking back up with him maybe like 2011, and we talked on the phone every day from 2011 to 2025 until he died. And he died, you know, from cancer like almost 2 years ago.
I feel like that's what moved me the most is like there was a picture of you and your dad. It must have been like right before he died.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the fact that you were able to forgive him, because it's such a weight lifted
Right.
when you're able like to not take something personally, and you know, even though it sounded like you bore the brunt of it with like your siblings that lived there, it sounded like
Right,
he
right.
went in, you know.
Yeah, it was more me and kind of my
Yeah.
little brother. My sister was, you know, kind of cool. Just the boys, like me, I got it the most. And my little brother, you know, he was a little bad little dude, but he, you know, us too.
Yeah. But it's like it's the forgiveness that just like it, you know, it gives you like a lightness, and it's just like you can see where somebody else was coming from, even if it, you know, it wasn't in you didn't see it, it was like in your best interest, but your dad felt like he was, you know, he had his issues.
Right.
That, you know, when he was, you know, punching you or whatever, he was doing it from a place where I'm gonna, you know, so you can protect yourself. And it's like, there's gotta be like so many conflicting feelings about that. Like, do you ever find yourself like sometimes you still get mad?
Oh yeah, tell me about it. My wife, you know, even before he passed away, you know, and it was crazy because me and my dad, you know, and I'm more, like I said, I'm a communicator, man, you know, and me and my dad, we definitely couldn't move forward without, you know, having some discussions. So, you know, back then when we first I remember a car ride one day, because I was real good in basketball when I was younger, and it was a powerhouse school back in Philly called Gratz, and my dad didn't really know how good I was because he was too busy doing his own thing, you know. You know, he worked 2 jobs, you know, he was out in the streets, you know, he used to hack like before, you know, he was like hacking this Philly term, like he was like a taxi cab, but you know, people would just pay him to take him around the city, you know, so he did that, you know, so he would be going all day long. So it was really just me and my sister, my brother on our own. My mom would work a lot, so it was just us, just every day we come home from school, and just us. My sister would, either my mom would make dinner and have it ready for us, or my sister would make dinner, or we would, you know, buy some food, stuff like that, you know. But me and my dad, we spoke, and I told him one day, he was like, why didn't you tell me how good you was? You know, I could have got you on Gratz. I said, because I didn't like you, man. I said, and the look on his face was like, I said, I didn't like you, man. I said, you know, growing up, man, you know, you used to abuse me, man, talk me crazy, man, steal my money from me. I had to change my hiding spots in my room 1,000 times. He would wake me up in the middle of the night, you know, with this look on his face. I'd never forget it. You know, I'd be scared, you know. I grew up, you know, nervous and like you say, walking on eggshells around my dad a lot, you know, so I really didn't like him a lot, you know. But I did a documentary, and I spoke about it, and I showed my dad, and he had to watch it, and he had to listen to what I said, and I told him how I felt, and I shared something with him that he probably didn't want to hear, but I told him, I said, listen, man, I had it all planned out. I was gonna kill you, man. Like, I had it planned out, you know. I just was always scared to go to jail, and I always wanted to be something, you know. I wanted to be something in life, you know, and I'm glad I made that decision, because I have done so many things. I made it, and I rap too, and I said something in one of my songs, like, I lived a life of 10 men. I have done more than probably 10 men, you know, or more, you know, in my lifetime, and I'm only 49 years old, you know, but me and my dad did have to have that talk, you know. I just explained to him how I felt and told him everything I felt, you know. He apologized, and he told me, you know, where he was coming from, and we had a great talk, you know, and then from there we just moved on, and we just, you know, built a great relationship, and we just, from, like I said, from 2011 all the way until, you know, he passed away, we would talk in the morning every morning, and we would talk on the way home, you know. And one thing he told me before he passed away, he was like, yo, man, he was like, don't never change, man. You a good dude. Don't never change. He told me that. Yeah.
Well, you are.
Yeah,
I
he
mean, like,
told me
that's
that.
like a testament. And it's just like what you said just a minute ago, showed that you even had integrity back then, because like you could have, not that you never had integrity, but like just the fact that he wanted you, like, oh, I could have gotten this for you, but you were like honest. You didn't use him like as a way to get on, like a good team. It was like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. And that was like you being like honest with him, honest with yourself. Like, I'm not dealing with this.
Right. He really seen me play. He really seen me play basketball. He came to one of my games, him and my mom, and that's crazy because the game he came to, I got hurt. You know, but he never really came to my games. You know, one time back when I was in high school in '91, my older brother from his first marriage, my brother Doyle, you know, R.P. to Doyle, he passed away a couple years ago, Philadelphia. But he played basketball too, and he had got in trouble. He was up Slayton Farms. It's like a bad school for kids. He's like 1 year older than me, you know. So I played high school ball for Fells, and he played for Slayton Farms. And when the schedule came out, I seen that we played them. And, you know, and me being a promoter, you know, I ran my own comedy events for like 4 or 5 years in Philadelphia. So not knowing what I was meant to be, I just promoted the whole basketball game. I went around, you know, and I got a brother, you know, that just like me, but he light skinned, you know, told all the girls and told everybody, and I had the whole, they should have paid me for that. I had the whole gym packed, you know, and they came, and it was a great game. They beat us, but it was a great game, you know, and that was like one of the, and my dad missed that game, because he worked for the school board. So by the time he would get off, you know, our games would be over. He worked across town in Fishtown. But I thought he could at least took off that day or something, you know, to see his two oldest sons, you know, square off, you know. But and I never asked him. I never asked him why he didn't make that game. I meant to ask him that. I asked him a lot of questions, but I meant to ask him that.
Before we go on to more questions,
Yes.
because like there's a lot of questions I
No
have for
problem.
you.
I'm here for it.
I have given Mr. Morris here an announcement for that we have an event going on at Mercer. So if you would like to just read that flyer, that would be great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Music Club presents Karaoke Bake Sale, Wednesday, November 5th, 12 to 1:30 p.m. in the cafeteria, cash only. And you can check it out on their Instagram at MCC_Music Club. Again, that's Instagram, MCC_Music Club.
How'd it go? Good?
Great, yeah.
So I gotta go to class. So just, you know, like you're gonna lower that down. Pause. Make sure you pause it, because you gotta get it playing before.
Oh, it did?
So lower it down, pause it, and then hit 2 and 3. Alright?
And then put these back on.
Yeah, 2 and 3.